Hello, I'm Brother Joseph Maria, and I'm currently here in our monastery in Rome. What I'm here to do is talk about my vocation story and how I entered the Order of St. Paul the First Hermit. The story starts in some ways before I was born, not only in the sense of what St. Paul says in Galatians, where he says, "But even before I was born, God chose me and called me by his marvelous grace," but also in the sense of the family I was born into. I'm one of 5 children. I have an older brother, 2 younger sisters, and an older sister. And we were always a deeply religious family. We would always go to Mass on Sunday, sometimes during the week, and we'd pray the Rosary together as a family almost every night. Also, going back in my family history, there is a lot of religion. For example, my great aunt was a missionary nun to Papua New Guinea. So that I would become a religious coming out of this environment, I don't think is much of a surprise. You can see how much religion had become a part of my life from a story that happened during first grade that my father would often love to repeat afterwards. One day during the religion class, the teacher, who I think was an ex-Catholic, judging by her positions on a number of issues, said that Jesus wasn't truly present in the Eucharist. Apparently I jumped to my feet and very quickly started protesting that he was. I must have done a very, very good job of it, because afterwards I got sent out of the class, which I was very happy about because I didn't want to be in the class anymore. When it comes to actually realizing that I had a vocation, this happened sometime just before my first Holy Communion, maybe a little bit after. I remember it must have been summer, and I would have been looking out my window of my room at the valley below. It was a very green view, even if there were lots of houses there. It was all covered by trees. I remember very clearly having a moment of grace in which I realized that God was calling me to become a priest. I can't really describe it to somebody who hasn't had the experience, but it left with me a very deep and firm conviction that I would eventually become a priest. I remember also telling my brother Matthew about this at the time. He reacted to it by saying that I'd probably change my mind within a week. I wonder now what he would have thought if I also told him at the time that he would also become a seminarian. He joined the Oratorians in Brisbane a few years after I did, after I joined the Order of St. Paul the First Hermit. Another factor that had a very strong influence on the development of my vocation was becoming an altar server. It was also around about the same time that I started to serve Mass at St. Bridget's Red Hill in Brisbane. And it was through this that I managed to have more contact with the priest, because before Mass you always had the opportunity to say a few words with him. It wasn't ever much, but it was also that extra bit of contact and seeing up close what the priest did that helped my vocation form, in the sense that I knew more concretely what God was calling to me too. As to actually joining the Pauline Fathers, this kind of started in a sense when I was about 10 years old, when we started to go to Marion Valley. We weren't going very frequently at the time, at first. It was more like for big occasions and when we were down at the North Coast on our family holiday. But one of these early times we were going there, I remember a significant event, and that was when I was walking up towards the sacristy at Marion Valley, And Father Andrew, who was the rector at the shrine there at the time, came out and started talking to me. And he asked me what I wanted to do with my life. And when I told him that I was interested in becoming a priest, he said that one day I would replace him at Marion Valley. I never told anybody about this at the time, not until many years later. But in some ways I do take it as a moment of prophecy. To actually concretely me thinking about joining the Paulines, that started in my mid-teen years. I knew I wanted to become a priest, but I wasn't sure where I wanted to go. There were some reasons that I wasn't so interested in the diocese. So I started praying, well, God, you're calling me to a vocation, but I don't know where to go. And it was at this time that a homeschooling group started at Marion Valley. I was homeschooled from grade 3 onwards. And my family became very heavily involved with this and would go every month. And this is when I started to meet the fathers regularly, particularly Father Gabriel and Father Columba. It was Father Columba that was probably the biggest influence. Father Columba is now the Bishop of Wilcannia Forbes. So through this regular contact, I discerned that this was God's answer to my prayers, in the sense that he was showing me that this is where I want you to join. So it was when I was about to turn 18 and I just finished school, that I went for my first interview with Father Columba, now Bishop Columba. And he shared some of his experiences of why he joined the Pauline Fathers. The point that made the biggest impression on me was when he talked about the fact that you always have a community, and coming out of a fairly large family, that really did ring home with me. He did, however, say that maybe best not join till I was a little bit older. So it wasn't till I was 21 that I actually joined the Pauline Fathers. I did my postancy at our Shrine of Our Lady of Mercy at Penrose Park for 3 months, before going to Poland to our international novitiate there, which was for 1 year, before coming here to Rome, where I currently am now, and I started studying at the Angelicum, or officially known as the Pontifical University of St. Thomas Aquinas in the city. I'm now in my 5th year there. I've almost finished my studies, and soon I should be returning to Australia, and hopefully this August I will be made a deacon. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope somebody finds it inspiring and considers joining the Pauline Fathers to enter into this wonderful vocation, this dedication of your life to God, for God.